There's a genuine threat saying that China could manipulate the algorithm to influence public opinion. Joining us now is Peter Harrell. He's a former senior director of the National Security Council, now at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Peter, good to have you. I want to get to what you see as the threat from TikTok, but I don't know if you have thoughts in terms of whether their case is going to be potentially successful, given they had previously at least had some success when they were facing another ban that over 4 years ago.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should be surprised that TikTok is suing. They'd been saying for weeks that they were going to sue. And as you say, there's some history here. Back when Trump tried to ban TikTok under a very different law 4 years ago in 2020, they successfully sued to get that attempt at a ban enjoined by the courts. I do think we're looking at a pretty different situation today. We have a new law that Congress just passed, creating a new basis for the mandatory divestment or ban. Not surprised they're going to sue, but I also hear from friends in the administration and around town a lot of optimism on the part of the U.S. government that they'll prevail in that. Of course, anyone who's seen a lawsuit knows these things take time, and there is obviously some chance that TikTok may prevail here. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, well, they did craft the legislation, I know, with the idea that it would be litigated in mind. So perhaps they have, a more foolproof, so to speak. On your views of the app itself and what I read in the introduction to you, why do you believe that China could manipulate the algorithm to influence public opinion?
Yeah, so I see at least two risks. And I think Congress, when they were passing this law, really built a good, strong theory of the case around the two major risks we face from TikTok. The first being a risk to U.S. data security. TikTok, like other apps, collects a lot of data about its 170 million American users. And while TikTok has been promising that data would be safe and secure at servers in Texas that they have with Oracle, we've seen a lot of press reporting over the last year, and Congress really, I think, was digging into this, that actually the Chinese parent company, ByteDance here, really does have a lot of access to that data, despite some of the assertions to the contrary. And then I think there's equally a significant risk that TikTok's parent, ByteDance, which has really designed a lot of the algorithm here in China, could use that algorithm to manipulate what Americans see here, potentially influence our political process and really influence what's going on here in America. And I think, well, we often look at this piece of legislation as a ban or something new. If you look at the history of American media, we've actually for a long time had restrictions on foreign ownership of American media. Maybe shouldn't talk about this here on CNBC, but back in 1985, Rupert Murdoch had to become an American citizen to buy Fox News. So if you think about TikTok as part of the media ecosystem in the U.S. today, this idea that you should have some limits on foreign ownership is actually quite an old idea in American history.
Yeah, I wonder just with the war in Gaza, how this has changed the conversation, because there is a lot of evidence that the site magnifies anti-Israel sentiment, and obviously that's a big deal for the folks in Congress, and I think plays into the idea that there are some serious national security issues, despite what China says, right?
I think absolutely. I think you saw that concern really being driven home by a number of the congressmen as they were building the case for this legislation. It was quite clear. You could see some independent analysis showing there was a lot of kind of pro-Hamas propaganda going on TikTok, and you can see a lot of congressmen talking about the concern here. I also think TikTok's attempt to stop the ban, where they got hundreds of thousands of kids to phone bank Congress by putting a banner, sort of signal on the app, call your congressman to stop the ban. That clearly backfired because it actually brought home to Congress how much influence TikTok has and how manipulation of the algorithm really could influence American political views.
Yeah, we started this segment with Stephen Mnuchin, obviously, who's trying to buy this if it is potentially for sale by its owner, ByteDance. I should point out, there are others as well. Bobby Kotick, for example, certainly looking at it. Again, if it's potentially for sale. And Mnuchin's key point was if they take 6 months litigating, it's not going to give us enough time, even if they were to agree to it, to copy the source code. So the ban probably will happen. What happens here, do you think, if in fact that occurs? I don't know if you've got kids who use the app, but many of us do. And they're not going to be too happy, are they?
Yeah, no, my 11-year-old disagrees with me on TikTok, loves TikTok. I think a lot of us who are parents hear that from the kids. Look, I'm not surprised TikTok sues. TikTok kind of has to sue, even if they actually want to have a sale here. They obviously don't want to have a sale at fire sale distressed prices. So they kind of have to take this step from their perspective, even if they want to have a sale, just as kind of leverage for a sale. I guess I'm more optimistic than former Secretary Mnuchin is that actually there is a path forward here to a sale. I'm quite confident that if push comes to shove, TikTok is facing this ban, the investors in TikTok will want to see a sale. Those guys, who include a number of Americans, as well as Chinese private guys, as well as other funds, those guys want to realize value here. So I bet the investors will ultimately want to see a sale. The question is going to be, what will the Chinese government let them do here? And will the Chinese government agree to allow that sale, or will they choose to politicize this?
Exactly, yeah. Well, certainly we'll be covering it closely and appreciate your taking some time to share your insights. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
As we head to break, tough sentiment when it comes to the housing market in our new CNBC Generation Lab poll. So according to a survey of more than 1,000 18 to 34-year-olds, 68% say housing is available in the U.S. but not affordable. 21% say it's hard to find. We're going to be joined by the CEO of online realtor Redfin. Don't go away.